What's up guys, I'm Adrian and this is Rabona TV's MLS review. All the action, all the MLS, all the... Hey, 3 weeks into the MLS, and not to say that what every team has achieved so far is where they will end up in the table at the end of the season, but you can notice some trends in some teams improving from their first match, teams not improving from their first match, and teams who have had worse fortunes since their dizzying start to the season. Who am I talking about? I don't know. You'll have to watch and see. And if you're an MLS fan and you're finding us for the first time, or just a fan of football/soccer in general, then hit that subscribe button and get involved in the comments. Love seeing new faces or usernames in the comment section. We're starting in the District of Columbia as District of Columbia United hosted the Houston Dynamo at the Maryland SoccerPlex. Yes, the match was at a SoccerPlex, seating around 5,000-ish people. I mean, look at this. People chilling on a grassy knoll like it's family day in the park. I guess that's nice, actually, but weird to see at an MLS match. Honestly, that wasn't the worst of it, as this match was haunted by the "It's in the net" man, and he had his first opportunity to say it in the 29th minute when Albert Ellis latched onto a bad-headed pass from Yamil Assad to his keeper David Usted. Ellis did well to sombrero Usted to score his second of the season. He started really well for Houston, and Houston continued their good start to this match. Just 1 minute later, yet another turnover by DC United led to Ellis squaring to Manotas to slot it past a stranded Usted. Right after the half, however, we got our first real "It's in the net" when Darren Maddox cut inside and slammed it past Sates. Maddox has looked good so far this season, as that was his second so far. A couple of chances in the other direction with Ellis and Kyoto coming close, but it's in the net time much later in the match. As in the 97th minute, Yamil Assad's in-swinging free kick was only partially cleared to Areola, who headed it back in. It bounced around until Acosta put it in the net to make it 2-2 and confirm that the Maryland SoccerPlex is the field where DC's dreams come true. To me, DC still don't look great, but I think bigger picture, they could be an entertaining team down the stretch and definitely take some points off of the clubs closer to the top. Houston, on the other hand, after starting so well against Atlanta, then slumping to an albeit unlucky loss to Vancouver, dropping a 2-goal lead isn't the most flattering look right now. The lack of focus to close out matches is something that Wilmer Cabrera has to work on. Next up, we're hitting Loon Country for Minnesota hosting Chicago, as this is Chicago's second match of the season after that epic 4-3 loss, unfortunately, to SKC last weekend. And this one wasn't the fastest starter, but when it got going, it really got going. First of all, from what I've seen of Richard Sanchez in his first 2 matches, terrible. Honestly, I don't want to rag on this guy, but his decision-making is out of this world, constantly putting himself in no man's land. He's not the keeper that Chicago needs right now. In the second half, Minnesota really started to put pressure in the end zone. In the box. Man, that writing was distracting. And they found their breakthrough after 55 minutes when Ibson put away his own rebound. Chicago came right back the other way, however, and just 2 minutes later, a defensive miscommunication between Ibson and Boxall led to Kiwi boy Elliot Collier scoring his first MLS goal on his MLS debut. Just 7 minutes later, I told you this thing really got going, all fire puns aside, Ethan Finley continued his great run of form as he sent in the perfect cross for Sam Nicholson to head home. And that's how it ended. 2-1 for Minnesota, who have taken 6 points from their first 3 matches. Certainly a decent start for them, and it looks all the better with the fact that they have found out a way to cope without Molino, who is out for the season, of course. The Philadelphia Union, after winning their first match of the season over New England, looked to go 2 for 2 as they hosted Columbus, a team looking to make it 3 wins from 3. So would it be a 2 for 2 or a 3 for 3 on the day? Well, neither, actually, as this one ended 0-0. And wow, the 15,000 people in the stadium must have wanted their money back after this one, because it was a dumpster fire of boredom. I mean, just look at what the boredom did to Keegan Rosenberry's face. The poor guy. I don't know, there's not a lot to talk about in this one, honestly. Columbus had some okay chances in the second half, and Philly seems none so different from the same Philly of the past few seasons. A new number 10 in Borak Dokal could shake things up, but as of now, same old boring Philly. Sorry Philly fans, but I'm sure most of you are already well aware of how your team plays by now. New York was of course looking to make it 3 from 3 in this match, while Orlando was searching for their first victory of the season, and spoiler alert, they are still looking for their first victory of the season. So here's how it went. In the 33rd minute, Wallace headed off of the bar after a great cross from the outfield. by Medina. After the half, Justin Meram continued his great play on the ball that we have seen so far this season from him, but also continued his poor finishing, which we have seen all season so far, just putting it wide from a great chance on 51 minutes. He's sitting on 0 goals from 12 shots so far, only 2 of which have been on target. Brutal. On 61 minutes, however, the breakthrough. Hey, it's a breakthrough, baby. The breakthrough came from a big mistake from Big Joe Bendik in the Orlando goal, as he put the ball on a plate for Ismail Tajouri to score his first goal in his first start for New York City. New York are really looking stacked this year, by the way, as Villa and Tinnerholm didn't even play in this match, and they looked just as strong. And just 10 minutes after going ahead, they got their second through some great play from Abdul Salam and Medina, who set up Morales to make it 2-0, which was also the final score. New York is going to be a tough team, as Patrick Vieira has more experience as a coach now and has built a deep, strong squad. Orlando, on the other hand, unfortunately, I feel like as long as they are under Jason Kreis, they will not have much success. He is completely past it, and tactically can't keep up with the rest of the league. He needs to move on for Orlando to move forward, in my opinion. And I think that of many Orlando fans, and just MLS fans in general. They all know this guy, they all know what he's about, and they all know he's past it. Sorry. Speaking of moving forward, let's look at Toronto FC and the Montreal Impact. Now, of course, Toronto was fresh off of a big aggregate win over Tigres in the CONCACAF Champions League. However, Greg Vanney fielded their strongest team possible, and maybe that was a mistake, considering all of the travel they had to do. Well, Toronto looked a little tired on the day, but take nothing away from Montreal, as Piette put in a man-of-the-match performance in the midfield, Piatti and Vargas looked dangerous, and the new look 5 at the back looked solid, with the addition of Rod Fanny. He's old, but he's looking strong. By the way, the aforementioned Vargas scored his first goal for the Impact in the 41st minute, which turned out to be the winner in this one. In the second half, Toronto did look a lot better, with a few close chances that went just wide or were dealt with by Evan Bush in the defensive line. Alas, it still ended 1-0 to Montreal, so that's 2 losses to start the season, and it looks so weird seeing Toronto at the very bottom of the Eastern Conference. Granted, let's not get too excited, because hey, it's only 2 matches in, and they're clearly focusing on the CCL. For us Montreal fans, however, it's nice to see a manager who is adapting and trying new things, and just isn't sitting there trying to force tactics that aren't working. Montreal could have had 2 or 3 more in this one, to be honest, and coupling that with the unlucky result in Columbus after coming back from 2-0 down, and adding in the signing of Alejandro Silva, who looks like Nacho Piatti Mach 2 from what I've seen, and Rudy Camacho, another inbound bound to be starting defender, things are looking good in Montreal, or at least promising. I don't want to get too excited. Okay? Alrighty, so Vancouver started their season with 2 wins, but their third match saw them going away to Atlanta United, easily one of the toughest teams to face in this moment, and boy, did the Whitecaps ever feel the pain in this one, especially Kendall Waston, who thanks to VAR was given a red card in the 12th minute for tossing an elbow into the face of Leandro Gonzalez Perez, but I mean, it took so long for the referee to even decide via VAR whether it was a clear and obvious foul. I don't know about that one, honestly. I've watched it a million times and I still can't tell. Anyway, Josef Martinez took the ensuing penalty with some serious swagoo, prancing up to the thing. Villalba continued to prove his incredible vision when he set up Almiron in the 42nd, but somehow he put it wide. No matter though, as after the half, Vancouver defender Aaron Mount turned the ball into his own goal, and 2 minutes later, Miguel Almiron redeemed himself by setting up Josef Martinez for his second. Vancouver did get one back thanks to Eric Hurtado, but 3 minutes later in the 88th, Martinez completed his hat-trick, taking his tally on the season up to 4 goals in 3 games. He's the new scoring leader, folks. It would have been nice to see these two teams play 11v11, but I still believe that Atlanta would have outmatched Vancouver. While Vancouver don't look bad by any means, Atlanta's attack just looks too good right now. Okay, and here we go with the Jimmy Conrad classic matchup of Sporting Kansas City hosting the San Jose Earthquakes. And man, if anything, Sporting KC have offered up some great matches in this very young season. 2 of the 3 at least. And the Glaswegian wonder that is Johnny Russell executed perhaps the nicest somersault I have ever seen on 23 minutes, thanks in part to some help from Quakes keeper Andrew Tarbell. Boom, penalty converted by Ilie Sanchez for his first goal as an SKC player. Hey, congrats, man. Many happy comings to you. Is that a saying? I don't know. But just under 10 minutes later, Valery Kazashvili smashed home his own rebound, making it 1-1 completely against the flow of the match. And oh baby, strap up because there's a lot more goals coming. A few more goals. including in the second half on 55 minutes when the kombucha brewer himself, Graham Zusi, doesn't he look like he brews kombucha at home, scored one of the goals of the week with a curling effort into the top corner from just outside the box. Banger. 67th minute, Felipe Gutierrez decided 3-1 was a way cooler scoreline, as his smash from outside the box nestled nicely into the bottom corner. But Chris Wondolowski is an MLS legend and proved that with a great finish in stoppage time to make it at least a little bit nervy for the SKC fans. If only he had finished that earlier chance, things would have been even closer. But 3-2 was the final score, as SKC now have 6 points from their first 3 matches, while San Jose are at 1 win and 1 loss from 2 matches. What I will say about this match is that Sporting KC's attack is gelling quite nicely early on in the season, and if they can continue to bloom, they'll be a headache to deal with for most teams in the West. Real Salt Lake hosted the New York Red Bulls, who also have advanced to the semifinals of the CONCACAF Champions League, except the difference between how they went about their weekend fixture and how Toronto went about theirs is that Jesse Marsch made the perhaps better choice of resting some of his starters. However, I only say perhaps better because, well, they did ultimately lose 1-0. 2 minutes in, Carlos Rivas had his arms all over David Horst, who went down in the box, leading to a penalty being given and a lead being given to RSL. Rusnak hit it cleanly with a low Panenka. Is it still a Panenka if it's so low to the ground? The age-old question. From there, Red Bulls ramped it up a bit with a few chances that were dealt with easily by Raimondo or just went wide. In the second half, however, Raimondo had to be at his best to save a header by Tim Parker on the line. Other than that, Corey Baird tried to chip Robles and came close-ish, but the 1 goal was all RSL needed to get their first win of the season. For Red Bulls fans, it's probably a little frustrating considering they fielded a very weakened side, but the fact that they only lost by a goal on the road and had some decent chances to even get a point from this match, hey, that's not so bad. Last match of the weekend saw FC Dallas welcoming the 2016 MLS Cup champions, the Seattle Sounders. Both of these teams hadn't played since the first week of MLS action, and it took the hosts 19 minutes to get the opener, as Roland Lama had an easy tap-in from an inch-perfect low cross by Michael Berrios. On 36 minutes, Mr. VAR came out to play again, and Clint Dempsey was given a red card for punching. You can't punch in the MLS, dude, it's not allowed. Maxi Urruti scored in the 58th minute, his first of the season, and he looked pretty dangerous in this match. He had the kind of game where if he was a little more lucky / had a little more quality in his finish, he could have had 2 or 3. Anyways, 5 minutes later, Roland Lama completed his brace with a great dink over Stefan Fry. Glad the power didn't go out this time when I said dink. I was thinking that was a cursed word. Dallas looked better than their first outing against RSL in week 1, but we gotta remember that Seattle is missing about half of their starters at the moment. So, none of the previous 3, that's 6, but 3 MLS Cup champions have secured a single point after 3 weeks of play. However, Seattle and Toronto, as I've said before, are both slow starters and had CONCACAF Champions League going on, and definitely come around once they get players back from injury in Seattle's case, and don't have to worry anymore about the CONCACAF Champions League in Toronto's case. Know what I'm saying? And that was all the highlights and lowlights from this week's MLS action. Can I just say how nice it is to have the MLS back again? Man, I love it. And if you love this video, then maybe do us a favor and like it so we know where we're at with this new venture into MLS content. My name is Adrian. I appreciate you for watching and have a great day.